The final days of Angkor arrive beneath a sky bruised with smoke and thunder. The great city, once the beating heart of an empire that commanded rivers, forests, and countless lives, stands trembling on the edge of ruin. The once grand reservoirs shimmer with stagnant water. Overgrown roads stretch out like tired limbs. Even the carved stone faces of the temples seem to carry grief as they watch flames rise in the distance. Siamese war camps surround the city like tightening jaws. Torches flicker along their lines, painting the night in shifting reds. War elephants rumble through the darkness, their silhouettes vast and unforgiving. Inside the walls of Angkor, hunger gnaws at defenders while whispers of abandonment move through the corridors where kings once held divine power. Mothers hush their children as arrows fall like burning rain. The forest listens, silent and patient, knowing it will soon reclaim everything the empire carved from its depths. This is the year when the old order shatters, when the Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya reaches its zenith, when Angkor, jewel of the Khmer world for centuries, burns and breaks, leaving behind only echoes carved in stone. The year 1431 opens beneath a sky stained by the smoke of distant fires, drifting across the plains of Cambodia like a silent omen. The land surrounding Angkor lies heavy with heat, the air thick with the scent of dust and dying crops. Even the birds circle lower, uneasy with the shifting winds. Inside the Khmer villages scattered across the countryside, life has grown thin. Families ration rice with trembling hands, whispering of Siamese armies marching closer each day. Children cling to their mothers as rumors seep through the bamboo walls like damp rising from the earth. Angkor, once the radiant heart of a mighty empire, stands troubled beneath the weight of its own grandeur. Its stone towers rise high, yet feel hollow, carved with the faces of gods who now watch helplessly. Ivy curls around ancient walls, gripping them as if preparing to pull them back into the jungle. Each morning, soldiers walk the perimeter of the crumbling city walls. Their armor hangs loose on starving bodies. Their eyes are sunken but fierce, driven not by hope of victory, but by a desire to protect what remains of their home. They know the enemy is close. Beyond the moat, the Ayutthayan army advances with measured precision. Thousands of warriors march in disciplined lines, their steps shaking the ground like a steady heartbeat. War elephants move alongside them, towering beasts draped in painted cloth and sharpened tusk guards. The Siamese generals survey Angkor from afar, reading its weaknesses like an open manuscript. They see walls worn by time, towers chipped by storms, gates whose hinges grind with age. They know this city stands on fading strength, a giant exhausted from centuries of rule. At night, the torches of the Siamese camps flicker across the plains, a constellation of fire that tightens around Angkor with each passing week. The soldiers sharpen spears and blades under the moon's pale glow. They await the order with a quiet discipline that chills their enemies. Within Angkor Thom, the Khmer king and his dwindling council gather in torchlit halls carved with once celebratory scenes. The flicker of flame warps the faces of past victories into haunted expressions. Arguments echo through the chamber as officials debate the best path to survival. Some plead to negotiate, others demand a final stand. A few whisper that the capital should be abandoned for the safety of the forests to the north. But no choice seems certain, and no road appears free of blood. The king's silence weighs heavily over them all. Outside, the city tries to hold together the fragments of daily life. Women carry jars of water from dwindling ponds. Monks sweep temple courtyards despite the growing layer of ash drifting on the wind. Market stalls open with meager offerings, each day fewer than before. The people's prayers grow desperate. They kneel before weathered statues of the Buddha, asking for protection as the sound of drums from the Siamese camps rolls across the fields. The rhythm echoes through the temples like an approaching storm. As the siege intensifies, Angkor's once ingenious water system falters, canals choke with silt. The great reservoirs shrink to muddy pools where fish die in the stagnant heat. Without water, the city feels hollow, its lifeblood drained by time and conflict. Khmer soldiers attempt to reinforce the gates with timber dragged from collapsing homes. The wood creaks under their tools, exhausted like the men themselves. Their hands are blistered, their breaths thin. Yet the work continues because surrender is unthinkable. Across the fields, the Siamese commanders prepare their siege engines. Massive wooden frames rise like skeletal beasts, ready to hurl stones and fire against Angkor's weakening defenses. Workers grease the ropes and check every mechanism with obsessive care. War elephants gather behind the front lines, shifting restlessly. Their handlers whisper commands and tether them to heavy stakes. The animals sense the tension in the air. Their rumbling breaths carry across the plains as if announcing the beginning of the end. As dawn breaks, the Siamese launch their first assault. Stones arc through the sky and crash into Angkor's walls, shattering ancient carvings. Dust erupts like pale smoke. Children scream. Monks ring bells to summon courage, though the sound trembles. The Khmer defenders respond, with arrows shot from trembling fingers. Some strike their targets. Most fall short or glance off shields. The defenders' quivers empty faster than they can be refilled, and the air fills with the bitter scent of splintered bamboo. The Siamese tighten their formation, marching through the fallen debris with shields raised. Their discipline contrasts sharply with the desperate scrambles of the defenders. Every step they take sends a wave of fear rippling through Angkor's defenders. Inside the city, chaos spreads. Families rush to gather their belongings, unsure where safety may lie. Smoke rises from homes struck by stray fire. The marketplace dissolves into frantic movement as people search for missing relatives in the thickening haze. Monks attempt to guide civilians toward the temples, believing the sacred grounds may offer some measure of protection. Their chants grow louder, rising above the clamor and fear. The sound carries strength even as the walls tremble. But the Siamese pressure is relentless. Their engines launch wave after wave of crushing force. The walls groan, cracking under the repeated strikes. Sections collapse in clouds of debris that fall like sand from the hourglass of time. Through one breached wall, Siamese troops surge forward. Their cries pierce the air, echoing against stone and jungle. The defenders scramble to push them back, but exhaustion drags at their limbs. The fighting becomes chaotic and close. Fires ignite across the outer districts. Flames crawl across thatched roofs and wooden homes, devouring everything they touch. Smoke coils above the city in suffocating spirals. The heat becomes unbearable, pressing down on the defenders like a physical weight. The king orders a regroup within the central enclosure near Angkor Wat. But even there, the people feel exposed as the distant rumble of siege engines grows louder. The echo of falling stone carries through the sacred halls like a death knell. A heavy sorrow settles over Angkor. Its temples, once radiant in sunlight, now glow in the red reflection of fire. The city that once held 1 million souls stands on trembling foundations. The jungle watches with ancient patience, ready to reclaim what will soon fall. As night descends, the Siamese army prepares for the next decisive push. Torches illuminate their ranks in long lines of gold and crimson. Generals walk among the soldiers, speaking quietly, sharpening the blade of their resolve. Angkor's defenders gather in silence along the remaining walls. Each man knows the coming attack may be their last. They clutch their spears with white knuckles. They whisper prayers to ancestors who once ruled a vast and unstoppable empire. The city waits in breathless stillness. The fires dim to embers. The air thickens with smoke and dread. Both armies listen to the distant cry of night creatures, unaware that by morning the world will have changed forever. The second assault begins before dawn, when the sky is still the color of iron and the air hangs thick with smoke. From the tree line, the Siamese war horns sound with a deep and resonant cry. Every creature in the forest falls silent as the final blow approaches. War elephants step forward first, their eyes glinting beneath heavy armor plates. Their handlers guide them steadily toward the weakened gates, calling out sharp commands. The massive animals push through the debris with unstoppable strength, shaking the ground with each thunderous step. Inside Angkor, the defenders brace themselves behind fallen stone blocks, using what little cover remains. They crouch amid shattered carvings of gods and kings, drawing strength from symbols of a greatness that feels impossibly distant. Fear and resolve mingle in their breath. The elephants ram the gates with devastating force. Wood splinters, iron bends. The sound echoes across the courtyards like the sky itself cracking open. Khmer soldiers rush to reinforce the breach, but they are met with a tide of advancing spears. The Siamese infantry surges behind the elephants, their shields raised and their formation tight. They push through smoke and rubble with unwavering precision. Behind them, archers release volleys that arc over the walls and rain down upon the defenders. The Khmer lines waver under the pressure. Their arrows grow scarce. Their spears break against shields or glance off armor. Their numbers shrink as exhaustion eats away at whatever courage remains. Yet they fight with the desperation of those who have nowhere left to flee. Flames begin to crawl across the rooftops as the Siamese set fire to the outer districts. The dry wood catches quickly, sending pillars of smoke spiraling into the sky. Sparks drift through the air like dying stars falling over the city. Civilians rush through the streets seeking shelter, clutching children or trying to salvage family relics from burning homes. The elderly lean on younger arms as they move toward the temples, their faces streaked with ash and fear. The city becomes a maze of panicked bodies and rising firelight. Monks guide the frightened crowds into the sanctuaries, chanting prayers meant to calm trembling hearts. Their voices echo off stone walls as the flames reflect across golden statues. The sound momentarily softens the terror outside, but not the reality of collapse. At the heart of Angkor, the king stands before the central sanctuary, his robes darkened by soot. He watches the skyline glow red with spreading fire. His hands tremble not from fear but from the crushing responsibility of witnessing the death of an empire. He issues the order to fall back again, this time to the inner causeways of Angkor Wat. Runners sprint through the chaos to carry his command, dodging arrows and collapsing beams. Each message delivered buys only minutes of survival. As the Siamese break further into the city, their soldiers encounter pockets of fierce resistance. Khmer warriors strike from alleys, from behind fallen statues, from rooftops draped in smoke. These last stands burn bright, but end swiftly under the weight of superior force. The Siamese advance leaves a trail of shattered homes and smoldering shrines. The once vibrant city streets become corridors of broken stone and fleeing shadows. Angkor's breath grows shallow as fire consumes its edges. Near the temples, the Khmer defenders prepare their final line. They stand shoulder to shoulder with farmers holding wooden staves, with monks clutching ceremonial spears, with artisans who have never before lifted a weapon. They stand not for victory but for the dignity of their homeland. The Siamese approach the temple complex with caution. Aware of the defenders' desperation, they position their archers along the moat and signal for coordinated volleys. The arrows rise like a dark cloud and descend in a deadly rain. Several defenders fall instantly. Others stagger forward despite wounds, driven by loyalty and the knowledge that this sacred ground must not fall easily. Their determination delays the Siamese, but only briefly. War drums pulse from the Siamese ranks, pushing the assault forward with renewed force. Infantry climb the temple steps, while others flank through crumbled walls. The defenders meet them in violent clashes that echo through the courtyards, stone corridors filled with the clash of metal and the cries of wounded men. Blood pools beneath carvings that once depicted heavenly worlds. The sacred sanctuary becomes a battlefield where faith and steel collide for the final time. The king retreats deeper into the temple as guards form a protective ring around him. His face bears the grief of a leader watching centuries of greatness crumble. The weight of legacy presses heavily upon him. Outside, the fires intensify. The heat becomes suffocating, pushing smoke into every corridor. Carved pillars collapse under their own weight as their bases grow unstable. The jungle beyond the city flickers with orange light, as if watching the fall of its ancient rival. The Siamese break through the final line with relentless force. Their war elephants trample the remaining barricades. The defenders fight until their arms fail, until the flames lick at their feet, until the city falls into an overwhelming tide of invaders. By noon, Angkor Thom is effectively lost. The central gates lie in fragments. The causeways are strewn with broken shields and scattered weapons. The once mighty capital bows under smoke and ruin. The Siamese soldiers fan through the complex, securing every chamber. Some set torches to abandoned buildings. Others search for remaining pockets of resistance. Their commanders issue strict orders to dismantle the city's last defenses. Civilians who cannot flee take refuge within temple chambers, huddling among carvings of gods whose faces flicker in the firelight. Their whispered sobs mingle with the crackling of burning wood. They cling to the hope that hiding might spare them. As the day wanes, the Siamese claim full control. Flames consume entire districts, sending black plumes across the horizon. Angkor's canals reflect the burning sky like rivers of molten copper. The once living capital becomes a landscape of ash. The king, realizing the hopelessness, orders the retreat of survivors into the forests beyond the city. His guards guide him through hidden gates at the rear of the temple complex. They disappear into the trees, leaving behind the empire's shattered heart. The jungle receives them with humid stillness, indifferent to their sorrow. The survivors move deeper into the dense canopy, their footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. Behind them, the sky brightens with flames that mark the end of an era. Angkor, now in Siamese hands, begins its slow surrender to time. Many structures survive, but their purpose dies. The waterways fill with silt. The roads fade beneath creeping vines. The temples stand as hollow relics, witnessing their own abandonment. The Siamese do not occupy the city for long. Its vastness, its failing water systems, and its distance from Ayutthaya make it impractical to control. They take what they can, dismantling political power and weakening the Khmer state beyond recovery. As the Siamese army withdraws, Angkor is left in stunned silence. The fires smolder. The wind carries ashes like drifting memories. The jungle edges closer, sensing opportunity to reclaim the domain it once lost. What remains of the Khmer people resettle further south near Phnom Penh, closer to the rivers that offer survival. They carry with them stories of the fall, of bravery and loss, of a capital swallowed by fire and time. Their traditions live on, though their world has changed forever. Angkor becomes a place of echoes. Monks return occasionally to tend abandoned shrines. Hunters pass through and feel the weight of unseen eyes carved into every stone. Travelers hear whispers of greatness that once illuminated Asia. Centuries later, the jungle will nearly swallow the city whole. Roots will crack open temple walls. Lichen will mask the faces of kings. Angkor will sleep under a cloak of green until the modern world rediscovers its vast and haunted beauty. The fall of Angkor in 1431 is not a moment, but a turning. It marks the shift from one age to another, from a world ruled by ancient waterways to one shaped by new kingdoms. The Khmer Empire fades, but its stones endure, telling their story through silence. And in that silence, the past breathes. It remembers flames rising to the heavens. It remembers the thunder of elephants against crumbling gates. It remembers the final prayers whispered beneath burning skies. Until next time, stay safe, and see you in the next history.